So you've set your application up, you've deployed it, you've got it out, and it is live. But how do you know it's actually working the way it's supposed to? I mean, yes, there's functionality, but beyond that, there is a heck of a lot more that needs to happen with your application to make sure that you're getting the best performance out of it. Today, we're going to cover that. We have with us a couple of guests from Meteor Software to go into the nitty-gritty of how to performance tune and profile your application. But before we get there, I just want to remind you that this is episode number 85 of This Week in MeteorJS, a weekly podcast by the MeteorJS Dispatches podcast, a weekly newscast of the MeteorJS Dispatches podcast. My name is Alim Gafar, streaming to you live from New York City. And we have with us, hang on one second, I'm going to swap some people around. Hey, Jan.
Hello, everybody. Sorry. It's Dvorak, aka Storyteller, coming to you live from Prague. Yeah.
1 second here, and we can have the other guys introduce themselves too. Right now, I'm trying to swap over. Let's get Nacho up there. Hey.
Hello, this is Nacho, and as you know me, I'm working in the Meteor core.
And hello, I'm Italo from OS team in the Meteor core too.
Excellent. And with that, we have a little bit of news, and then we're going to get right on to the main event. So take it away, Jan.
So we'll jump right into it with Meteor news, and I would say very topical. Just one news item today because we have some very exciting things to cover, which is that Meteor 3.3 beta 1 has been released. So for the last 2 weeks, I have been telling you guys it's coming. Watch out for it, and finally it's here. So it has all the new things that the team has been cooking, especially when it comes around, building your application optimization. There's some quite new technologies, and Nacho and Tala will talk more about it in detail. So if you like to try it out, especially if you have larger application, then definitely check it out and see how it performs with building your application.
All right, and if you're enjoying what we're doing and you get some value out of it, hit the like button. That gets our video up in the algorithm, and it gets shared with more people who will then discover it and be able to enjoy it also. So thank you so much. Hit the like button. Let's move forward here. Okay, and our main event today. So this is I think the shortest we've ever done the news. It's this has been a really, really quick news segment, and what we're covering today is we're going deeper into profiling and performance tuning. So you've built your application, you rolled it out to production, and it's taking traffic. All is good, and it's serving users. Users are using it. They're on it. They're using it. So how do you know how well it's doing? Are there any other steps that you need to do? How do you know? So one of the things you want to know is whether or not you're using the right resources. We're talking about disk space, memory, CPU allocation. How are your API calls performing? What's your network throughput? Are you checking your cache invalidations? What the hell is that? So all the atomic low-level stuff that really concerns your operations team. And if you're a small guy or a small developer, you might be that ops team doing all of that. So the things, why do we care about this? Well, we want to know what the costs are. We want to know what it's costing us to do this. Are we doing this the most efficiently? Because these costs can build up over time. Can we do it better? So what we're asking ourselves today, and what our speakers who are joining us today, as well as Jan, are going to talk about, is why we do profiling, what it is exactly, what's performance tuning, how is that different, what we should look at, and what we should measure. So if those things matter to you, if you've ever wondered how that works, then this is what we're going to do right now. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Jan. And I realize I'm a terrible producer, because when I'm talking, I'm not even on the screen. All right, I'm going to take myself away now. Let me swap over to Jan. So Jan, let's get over to you.
Yeah, as you mentioned, there is a lot of things when it comes to performance tuning and improvements. And we'll probably do more on that in the future as well, because each of these things by themselves could be their own episodes, and we'll probably get to it. And I will not pretend that I know everything and all the details. I would say I kind of know a lot and experience a lot. That's actually kind of what you're paying if you're like getting a consultant or senior developer. You're paying for the experience that they have from the past, so that they have kind of like, say, a mind map of all the possible things that you kind of have to look and go through. And one of the things that sometimes is not really talked about, at least not when it comes to performance, are images. So kind of coming here from the left field, completely surprising, I would potentially from somebody, but it's actually something that came up with one of my companies recently, that there was an issue with performance, and they kind of zoomed it out on images. There are some other contributing factors, but we were using GIF images, which is sort of quite an old format compared to some of the new ones, and that turned out to be a problem in the greater scheme of things. So it's also very important to check these things. And today you might know WebP, which stands for Web Picture, which is pushed by Google, and that's I would say very flexible format. And with these you can also not just optimize the performance by choosing more performant picture format, but oftentimes even the size. GIF is because they're kind of big of a hog when it comes to the resources, and it's also quite big. If you actually convert that into WebP, then it's usually smaller and more performant, especially when it comes to Chrome-based or Chromium-based browsers, because that's done by Google. So they made really sure that the performance of those images is there. There's also WebM, so that's for movies, similar to MP4 format. So that's one thing to kind of check. Big disclaimer: WebP is not like a silver bullet that you can use. And here is from the Maisel that I found. They have a really nice article that you can kind of read out. Kind of covers what are the common formats, what's the pros and cons, and how to choose ones. And it also kind of depends on the use case. I would say for majority of users, kind of switching to WebP is going to help you a lot. But there are some specific use cases where you want to have a specific different formats, like potentially PNG, SVG is another one, each with their downsides. And there's even one that I haven't even learned about. So check it out. And with that, I want to move on to React, which has, if you are not careful, you can really kind of go a bit astray when it goes to resources. What I have here is something called React Scan. And as you can see, it kind of highlights you what's being re-rendered when you do certain action. This one is actually pretty cool because you can just put that just temporarily into your website when you're developing it as just a input or so not input in the script, and then you can have all this utility, everything. They also have something called Million, which is a React optimization tool. But the main point here is that React Scan kind of will help you. Okay, this is re-rendering too much often, and every time as you can see here, you re-render. You have to kind of check how am I re-rendering it, how often. So this kind of really highlights it for you in a nice way. Another tool, actually let me skip here, to help you are the React DevTools, which I think with Meteor, DevTools evolved, and other DevTools for anything else that you use, that should be kind of given that you have them. And through them, you can find, a lot of these issues. You can see there's a profiler, so that can kind of highlight you where are the possible problems and which components you might want to look into. And that brings me to a tool that the React team has recently moved into the release candidate stage, which is React Compiler, which you can also use in Meteor without any problem. And what does, it kind of goes through your code and adds memorization and a lot of the other performance things that you would probably do normally on your own, but it kind of does it automatically. So just by adding that, hopefully it should help speed your app. Of course, it's not as well as silver bullet. It will help you in most cases, but once you kind of start really getting into the nitty gritty, and if you start optimizing yourself, especially if you have already some experience with it, then you are able to be more performant in that respect. And guys, not sure if you have any more, if you want to add here a little bit more when it comes to React. Let me just quickly check my notes. Sure, I have not forgotten anything. Nacho, Italo, Alim, any or chat, let us know if you have like any question on what I've just covered, or if you have any tips and tricks, or maybe some tools that I have not highlighted on this.
Yeah, I'm not a React guy. As far as images are concerned, I've taken images and I've used different types of compression on them in the past to try to optimize them where needed. So, beyond that, it's mostly PNGs. Like I have a rule of thumb that I use right now. I don't really use GIFs. I use PNGs and compressed JPEGs. WebP I haven't used that much because I don't have a good generator for them, and I don't have a good viewer. So,
Yeah, with WebP, the viewer is a bit of an issue, but when it comes to converting, you can use open source tools like GIMP, and even online you can find converters. So it's not that difficult. If you like converting from PNG, JPEG to WebP, GIMP is an option. But if you want to kind of go from GIF to WebP, then I've used an online converter for that, because I wasn't sure how GIMP is going to handle it, and I was a bit in a rush, but that's manageable.
Really cool. Thank you. All right, and where are we now?
Let's move on to Meteor, but before that, I kind of want to show two more things when it comes to profiling. Let me just find out. So if you are in Meteor, especially on Galaxy, you have access to Monte APM, which is a monitoring application where you can look up how your application is performing. You can see, as Alim, as you have mentioned, all the pops up, the truth, and you can identify methods that need optimization. So let's see if I can find here some. Let's click on this one, and you can see how are things going, where are things stuck. This one is actually no problem here. So though actually no, you can see the computation here is a big, so then you can kind of look more deeper in.
Why don't we step back for a second here and explain why we'd even do this, and then what those graphs are telling us. It's so that way people understand a bit. I think sometimes you're confronted with these tools and they look great, but you have no experience using them. So what are we learning from this, or is this something that we'll have the Meteor guys focus on a little more? You tell me.
Yes. So first things first, when you're developing locally, you have no idea then once you deploy what's going on unless you monitor the logs on the server and your Galaxy dashboard constantly. But even then, what are the errors that your users are encountering? So you can, if you tie in APM, in this case Monte APM, it will show you. You will know. And then you can kind of track that down, try to reproduce the error locally, and hopefully fix it. And then from all of these graphs, it shows you, for example, let me see if I can here find the correct one. No, that's not the one I'm looking for. Yes, so it can kind of show you where your application kind of can struggle, and it will show you what's happening. And especially because a lot of the times, once you go to production, once you start getting users, there will be new kind of issue, new kind of errors that once you are just developing it locally, you will not encounter. And that's because you don't have that many people using it. So for example, what we see here in this issue is that there is a big wait time here of almost 5 seconds on a previous method that has run, that took 8 seconds to run. So then you can be okay. Then I need to either use unblock on the relevant methods, or I need to kind of dig in. Why do I get why do my queue for methods and all that stuff gets filled in? So it kind of points you to where there are issues. It will not be okay, just fix this, but it will point you through, and you can kind of check out. So for example, if you look here by the DB time, that will point you out, for example, where do we have a bad query. So this one is a bit more complex, but you can see there's a lot of fetching going on here. So this is, for example, a prime example. Okay, this probably we can use aggregation here to just have one query to the database. And so there's a lot of these little things. And it will be overwhelming, as you said, Alim, at first. Yeah. But thankfully, and here are the docs, and you can also look at a Meteor official guide that will kind of guide you through it. And let me see if I can. Yes, so you have to kind of read through this, and it will tell you, it will go more in depth, and then we can probably in this program, because I want to give our guests more time, so it will go into how to properly debug, how to find the issue, how to fix them as well. So that's where this will come in handy.
Okay. And now we're going to be covering a very specific part of...
Yes. Just before that, though, I want to highlight one last thing.
Sure.
That's an old tool, which I hope you have usually already used, which is the bundle visualizer, which kind of starts in a special mode, your Meteor application, and it will then show you how or what packages, how much space do they eat, because big part of that is, of course, load times of our application, how much gets downloaded. So here I have my little universe running. You can see my bundle is 5.62 megabytes. And then I see that, I can kind of go in here. I can see, okay, Meteor Node Stub is the bigger ones. That's an improvement. I had previous other ones. And then I have FileStack.js. That's almost half a megabyte. And then I can kind of go more in depth, and here I can see, and here is my application. I see that my UI, of course, I can see which components are the big ones, which I might to trim, or maybe which dependencies do I need to get out of my bundle, or figure out what to do with it. And you can also switch here to a legacy bundle, which is probably going to have more, almost 1 megabyte. So it will have some extra things to handle all the browsers. So that's another tool that you have kind of out of the box in Meteor. And with that said, we have new tools that Nacho and Italo are going to introduce us to.
Excellent. All right, let's pass the baton to them. I'm going to screen share for Italo now. So there we go.
Yay. Amazing. Well, so let's talk about how we could improve our performance for bundle when built, and how was the whole history to, get this achievement, decreasing less than 50% of our bundle and build time. Well, let me get my PPT. So a performance challenge use case. All this work has been done by me and in special Nacho. And today we will talk about the profiling bottlenecks we had and the solutions. So the first thing, the CPU profile. As everybody knows, our bundle and build was a little bit slow for Meteor. And when we started to fix it and finding a solution for this problem, the first step was looking for who was the villain. So for it, we implemented an option inside the Meteor that is CPU profiling, but a CPU profiling not in a general way, like when starting recording the data when you start the application until you finish the application in a debug way. So here we implemented a CPU profiling per function inside the Meteor. And so when you run your Meteor, the whole bundle and build process is monitored by CPU profiling when we use Meteor inspect environment. There we can specify what we want to monitor. And after that, we saw the bubble was the main villain. That is the module that was consuming more time in the bundle and build process. So after a long discussion, we decided to move for SWC, that is built in Rust. And because this, it's pretty faster, and not because it's used Rust, but because it able to use mode threads and many other resources from a compiled language. And well, to implement that and monitoring the improvements, instead to use a CPU profile, we decided to create a new tool that is the Meteor profile command. And well, in this moment, Nacho have more details to talk about it. So Nacho, please go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I need to put my screen there. There we go. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it has been nice to see an overview of different strategies that we have for improving performance in two sides. On Meteor runtime, as we have been seeing some solutions about it with React and the React compiler and other things that are up to, and also the build time. All this work that we have done on the new tools, the inspector and the Meteor profile, is about the build time. The build time affects directly into your experience, developer experience, and I think we were owing the community many good efforts into this part of the system. So the motivations for the Meteor profile command are as follows. We wanted to have a tool in order to have a quick way, a quick summary and automated to track performance and size. We wanted this because we wanted to optimize both any Meteor application that we encounter as they go on changes and new dependencies and things like that, but also the core. The core at the end is a subset of a Meteor application is full of packages and code that also needs attention. So we have ways to get these snapshots over time and being able to see if we are improving or the contrary. And this tool is also really interesting for companies and individuals to compare environments. You want to increase productivity, right? So just by running this command, you can get several machines that you have and ensure that you will work in that environment that gets more out of it. When you run Meteor profile, you get a summary, as I said, and you get also a full log file where you can see details about everything. As you can see here, we will get also the villain that was talking Italo before. And yeah, this was the main view. Yeah. So what we have several modes that you can use the Meteor profile. You can use Meteor profile as a way to monitor or profile in the Meteor run. Meteor run is your dev mode, basically. So in that, you will get several stages. The cold start is when you don't have local cache. This is in the folder .meteor/local. Then a cache start when you have the cache. And then a reveal client, that is when you reload, specifically by changing a client or only change. You will get also that, what is this feedback, the hot module reloaded that happened in the Meteor tool. You will get that in the summary. Also for the reveal server. Another mode that you have here is to profile the Meteor build. This is when you are creating the final artifact for your Meteor application. This is used behind the Meteor deploy as well, so this will be also improved. But basically, again, you have the two stages, cold build and cache build. And then the last mode is to basically use bundle visualizer behind the scenes to get a quick summary on the size of your application. You will get the same Jan was showing before, but in text and with a quick view of everything in a single site. So you will get information about your application in total by individual package and the application code and modules. I have left here more details into a URL that contains an article that I wrote to basically explain what I'm doing here in the Meteor profile. We have been pushing new improvements, so take a look into in which version this is available, because all of them start from Meteor 3.2, but the build one, that was the one before, starts from the 3.3 betas that we are addressing. So what I want to say here is that we have a new release, and yeah, Jan was saying it before. There is a new forum post where you can get more details about it. I just want to say here that the build times has improved significantly, not only in terms of the development mode, but also on the build for production mode. We have seen, in average, a 50% reduction of the times. Maybe you see these numbers here, but this is a small application, well-known example in the community. But if we are talking about relative numbers, like a percentage, you will get for sure those. And we are also testing in other major applications, and we see this pattern being following. So this is the average, but the range goes from 30, 60% reduction. So yeah, this is something we have worked on, and thanks to this profiling tool, we can get into these results and also to communicate effectively, because we are just talking about numbers and people can actually feel it. And yeah, this was,
So I think what's kind of interesting here is you're using the profiling tool to profile Meteor also for performance improvement. So it's not just you could use it for your applications, but it's also being used on the platform itself to yield better results. Is that what I got out of it?
Yeah, sure. We wanted to have both. As we were working on the core, we are improving it, but these tools are also being able to be used by the community and people having apps. And this is the strong point about these tools, is that everyone can use it, everyone can feel the improvement and share with others.
Sure. I know there was a conversation before about improving the build times by swapping out the Meteor ISO build with Vite. Is this how you achieve the improvements, or was this actually just work on the ISO build itself?
Yeah, in terms of what components we have replaced within Meteor Core, we have replaced the transpiler, which was using Bubble, so yes, SWC. But according to Beat or other mother bundlers, we are planning for the next work, because this is just a previous step, just to see what Meteor is and what are the limits of Meteor.
Okay.
And what we want to do next is to get those famous mother bundlers that everyone knows and they use in other kind of environments, to be able to replace some part of Meteor and get the benefits of the other faster bundler.
Yeah.
Not only in terms of speed, also in terms of features and plugins and other, and community awareness, because we are
Sure.
we are,
But in the case of this exercise with profiling and then doing the improvements, it wasn't a replacement improvement. It was an actual fixing what was already there.
it was a replacement of Bubble of
That's
and
right.
SWC, but according to what is in Meteor Core. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is the point. Yeah.
Terrific. Thank you. Okay, and are we going back now to the? Let me swap you back out here.
No, I have kind of to that. So you've kind of hinted on it. So this is kind of like the first step in what is to come. So and I've also remember seeing some discussion that maybe Vite might not be the correct solution. So can you maybe expand on this? What is kind of why do this now, and what is the ultimate goal in this?
Yeah.
Well, hang on a second. I just want to let's keep this brief, because this is kind of getting a little off topic, and I don't want to confuse the topic here, right? Because we are talking about performance and profiling, and if we get into this larger discussion, which I think is really important and we should do it, I don't know that this is the right forum for it. But if you want to just address it briefly, that would be okay.
Yeah. The way of having profiles, as you have said, has been to be able to identify which is the best solution for Meteor to evolve in the future as well. So people is talking about Beat, but if Beat doesn't provide us the output that we want, maybe we need to select another tool. We still need to do some work ahead into verifying things. But yeah, we have now the tools to do this, and this is what we have presented here. And I encourage everyone to start using the beta, adapt to the new version. You have details on the Meteor forums. Provide a profile so that we can understand the patterns in your applications for us to improve.
I think one of the lessons learned here also is you can use profiling not just to see the operational performance of your application, but to also test different options of implementation in your application to see which performs better. Would you say that?
Definitely. Yeah. As you are growing your applications, you can run these profiles that are really quick to run, depending on the application, I would say, but we are delivering good improvements. You can see if you are making changes that maybe could be optimized a little bit further. And of course, you can integrate all this in your CI to have the proper signals to evolve better in the future.
So, in this case also, you could do the same thing, for instance, in evaluating different packages and their performance, right? So again, it's not just a single solution technique to figuring out how well your application is performing. You can really go very far by using different profiling techniques to determine what is the best mix of different components for your application.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, today I'm not sure. I think we haven't documented in details how we use it in your code, but it's in explaining technically basically the profile. We have the tool in the CLI, but we have to a library inside Meteor that you basically wrap your function using another profile function, and there we will start to monitoring your execution. So in terms of milliseconds, of in terms of a native CPU profiling from Node. And then we will provide you these informations. And well, using these informations about the CPU profiling, the CPU profiling snapshot, and the milliseconds from profile Meteor 2, you can decide where to focus, where to improve your package or software, where your bottlenecks, because in a large application, well, we have many points that can be improved, but we haven't time to improve all them. So we must to find the principal bottlenecks, as we did with Babel and SWC. So yeah, for sure you can use it in any place inside Meteor, and it's a have a huge difference between use this profile tools that we provided between the profiles that we have in the market, because the profiles we have in the market usually you get a profile from your whole execution in your application. So and it block us to execute a profile in many situations. Sometimes you have a super fast application or a super fast function that you can't get, or you want to profile a long running. So you have many scenarios and contexts that that give you that make it difficult to get the profile where exactly you want. So inside Meteor Profile, we bring this solution, providing you to get the profile from where specifically you want, specific function, specific class, specific piece of code. So yeah, it's a totally versatile tool we provided.
Yeah, that's really powerful, because every time I look at the profile tools, there's like a lot of noise that I'm not interested in, or just things that that come in. That's and then it kind of becomes really hard, and that's also very similar, even like with the React profiler, because that's it shows your entire application, and then you have to kind of be very careful that you kind of move in the exact pattern so you can profile that thing. But at the same time, that kind of becomes then an issue, and this kind of goes into my next topic, is which is kind of advices for people, is where to kind of look for. And oftentimes what I've kind of found myself is that I have some idea of where the issue might be, and then I was totally wrong, and it was something completely unexpected. So kind of want to open it up to everybody. What are the most common performance mistakes that you have seen? And I kind of start with this kind of mindset thing that oftentimes, yes, especially if you have been building it for a long time, you kind of can already know the performance can be. But for example, as I start talking about the images, that was something completely unexpected for me, that I just didn't even think that in today's day and age, performance of the GIF images could be an issue that is slowing down the app or the the client's computer. So with that, I kind of leave it around, and in the meantime, I'll think of another big thing that I remember from the past. So Alim, maybe kind of in general, if you have anything that you've seen in your career.
No, I mean, I think a lot of time there are issues with loops, right? Inner loops that end up consuming a lot of time and effort. There are, especially with JavaScript, code that blocks. So those are the two things that I'll look at first. Images, to be honest with you, images are something that I've remembered because that came up a long time ago. But I have thought in the past decade or so that a lot of the image compression or the image creation applications, typically optimize for those. Maybe I've made bad assumptions. So that could be something that I need to keep an eye on in the future. But those are my two go-tos typically. And then any IO that that I need to, I might take a look at anything that might be IO bound that might have some impact on performance. So that's kind of where I'll take a quick, scan of the landscape and then hone in very quickly to see if I have any issues there. And then after that, it becomes a more esoteric search. So what about you guys? I mean, you spend most of your days in code far more than I do. So Nacho, Italo,
Yeah.
a rule of thumb as how you start narrowing the search space for when you're looking for improvements?
Yeah, we could talk about things on the Meteor code itself, but I'm going to say something that maybe is useful for people that is watching us. For instance, related with huge packages on your applications that usually import things through an index import that imports everything in one go.
Yeah.
I have seen this pattern above all with icons, all the icon suites npm packages that you have. That affects a lot in the build time. But when I say a lot, it's huge amount of time, because many times these imports are importing all the SVGs icons in one go. So you just get everything. And this affects, I say build time, but I also think that the runtime. So this will be something that I want to say. Of course, this could be understood as a limit on the Meteor bundler, because modern bundlers usually has a way to change these imports automatically for you and things like that. You can do these things on Meteor, but you need to do some configuration, I would say. But yeah, this is our way to go to modernize and get new things there.
Italo, anything from you?
Yeah. Well, in terms of performance, I'm pretty new in the Meteor, so I have the opportunity to see how the people use it and give you a great tip as Nacho about Meteor. But I think I could to say in terms of performance and the people usually do wrong in my opinion is well, a bad understood about promises, creating promises overhead in the software. That is pretty common. And it's an easy way to solve just removing the excessive usage of async await. Because, well, not sure if everybody knows, but usually when you create an async function, it's already creating a prompt behind the scenes. And when you do, for example, when you don't use a resolve inside that function or don't return a promise, it will create a new promise anyway, and you will consume more resource and more memory and more CPU. And when you do an await inside a sync function and don't return the function itself, but return the result of the await, it's creating two promises, a promise to resolve the await function and another promise to return that resolved value. And well, it's create a extra, it consumes extra resource like CPU and memory. So for me, well, a performance tip I can do for now is not related about Meteor. I'm sorry, but in terms of JavaScript, for sure, we have many cases of promise overhead that can be avoided and, well, can be had a good performance with a cheap implementation, just removing excessive asyncs. Well, that's it.
Alim, I want to kind also go mention about the performance for the images. The tools might be optimized, but they do not account for potentially designers disabling those optimization because they want to create and show the best image. So sometimes what you get potentially from the designers or maybe from other tools can be specifically optimized to kind of be the be the most prettiest and everything, which doesn't really translate too well when it comes to performance. And Nacho, as you mentioned about the indexing of the icons, this is something that I've used recently at my AI as well, because whenever it kind of creates a folder and adds components into it, it wants to index all those components as well. There's like no rhyme or reason for that. And I'm not sure, and maybe this kind of going to you guys. One thing is, named export versus default exports. How does that, affect things? Because if I remember correctly, there was kind of move to go away from default exports to name exports, so that then performance enhancement tools and code optimization can better take care of it as compared to just having a default exports. I'm not sure if you guys want to comment on that.
Yeah, in the case of Meteor specifically, I think Meteor benefits more into a split in files with single purposes. So all your logic around, try to split it in files, because then you can use specific paths into those modules. So if you use specific paths, the Meteor bundler can only pick those functions, components, SVG images, whatever the code is, from these specific paths. So in terms of performance, I would recommend that. It's the same as the icons library. The solution for avoiding the indexing import is to use the specific path into the single file that represents the icon you are importing in. So I would say this is the common pattern in Meteor. The model bundlers will overcome this because it will do automatically. You can write it the way you want, even as an index file, and this will be resolved by you. And according to the image optimization you are saying, model bundlers usually has already plugins that allows you to hook those plugins into the bundler, and as part of generating the production bundler, do this optimization for you. So you get just the images in your code, the paths, and the images are either remotely accessed or locally accessed, and the bundler runs those procedures to optimize them by a configuration that you provide you. So at the end, when you run for building your application for production, everything is packed in one optimal build, even images. So this will be the direction we want to go with the 3.4 and the model bundler integration.
Okay, back to you, Alim.
I just want to add something here for a second. We're gonna pop out of this and ask you to, if you enjoy what we're doing so far, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't already done so and you want to be part of this community, we would love to have you there. So click on that subscribe button, join the crowd, be part of this community, and let's keep on going with it. All right. And I'm gonna remove this now, unless do we want to do any wrap up, or is there anything else that we want to add here?
I just maybe very quickly want to also add, yes, all the tools can then, do a lot of optimization for you and all that stuff. But I think we have to also watch ourselves here, not to fall into the trap of, oh, there's a package for that. And be stuck that we have, thousands of packages to kind of optimize for our laziness sometimes, because I think a lot of these optimizations, well, first of all, you kind of learn them through experience, but a lot of the times you can do without, packages and just, pop, with the images, just go into game, export it, optimize it there. Usually, even me, I'm not a designer, I don't know that much about optimization, but usually the tools already exist there to optimize it super easily. They kind of hold your hand as well. And I think also that kind of goes into our general curiosity, which is important here, because then you have to be going into all of these optimizations and improvements. You have to be curious about how things work. How does this little things work? That's how we have discovered in the past a lot of the things like security, like the XZ. There was a curiosity. Okay, why does this library takes a few more milliseconds than I would expect it to take? So that is essential, to remain curious and go and explore. So that's all I have to say on this.
Hey, Nacho, I want to ask you a question, or Italo, either of you can answer it if you want to. But, from your experience, are these deep dependency trees that we see in Node applications, because we require a package and then there's another package that requires, and then further and further and further on. Do those have a deep impact on build times? Nacho,
Yeah.
Italo? Your microphones are off. Oh wait, no, your microphones are. I'm looking at. Never mind. I'm monitoring the stream at the same time that we're running, and I was just looking at the monitor, which is a few seconds delayed, so the microphones were off. So anyway, so Nacho, do you have an insight into that?
Yeah, actually, each dependency that you add in your Meteor project impacts in your Meteor profile. Actually, if you use this tool that we have presented to you, as you get more and more NPM dependencies there, the bundler gets weightier and then goes slower. So this happens. This is why another reason for a modern bundler, because they usually manage it in a better way. Of course, it's going to contribute to slowness as more things you have, but it's more optimal. And of course, we delegate all this logic to these kind of tools.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure that because I'm not sure that you maybe understood my question. My question is really sort of like this graph dependency, right? So I have a dependency on this package, but that package has a dependency on some previous package, and that previous package has some dependency on some other packages. And so it's just this deep tree, right, of dependencies. And, are there smart ways of dealing with that? I think Giannis is suggesting that some of those things are so primitive that you can do without them and just write the code directly rather than rely on those dependencies per se. But, is that the suggested solution? Is that a good solution? I mean,
Well,
what are
I
your
think
thoughts?
the first thing is to take a look in the package you are installing to see if they have many dependencies or not. Usually in NPM world and inside Meteor at the same time, we have many options for the same solution. I mean, many packages that do the same thing, and the dependencies amount is an insight about how good that package is. And another thing that usually I like to do, I will see if I can get it here. I use an extension that measures the size of the import, because when we are importing a dependency, we can import, as Nacho mentioned it, we can export the full packet, or we can just export the piece of the package. So usually the first thing I do is take a look at the dependencies amount and what dependencies they are using it. And well, usually I use just the packages and just take a look there, but exist tools that show you the complete dependency tree. And let me see if I can get it here. Exists an extension that show you how how much bytes we have for a specific dependency. Well, I can find it here
are you able
but
to share it?
yeah, unfortunately, I can't find it fast, but I will share with them. Then you can put in the live description. But yeah, basically, I use this two ways to try avoid load large and long dependency trees packages.
Sure. We have a comment here from the audience. It says, shaving off a few milliseconds, I just did an estimate for the runtime of summarizing user reviews for a large musical equipment vendor. I came up with approximately 12 days. This is Jan P from the community. Jan, is this related to build times or run times of some kind with an application, or is this some kind of AI tool that you're running that is somewhat related but not? So just let's see if we can get a response from him on this, because I'm not sure about the context of that comment there.
Yeah, me either.
Because we had asked a question, are there any questions for the panel? So this is what we saw, and I'm not entirely sure. Okay. All right. And by the way, Jan has shared the tool that's mentioned by you is over here. Right?
I wanted to say something about these results because there is a website that calls Bundlephobia that you can put any NPM dependency there and see the size over the versions.
Okay.
And understand if they have also specific imports and a link directly to that dependency. And also to understand the NPM tree, you can use NPM LS and you can see the dependencies, direct dependencies, and transient one that are those that are subdependencies.
Okay, so here's our answer. I'm sorry, just for a second, from Jan P. He was running an AI agent to summarize reviews of 110,000 products. Okay, so interesting. Here is the Bundlephobia link that you were just mentioning, Nacho. Okay. All right, excellent. Okay, is there anything else that we have that we want to ask at this point, Jan?
I am fine. There's, of course, we could probably go on this for hours and hours more,
Sure.
but we'll have, on this more in the future. And, let us know if there's like specific, performance or optimization topic that in just use so that we can, zoom in on it and dedicate more time for it, because I think there's always a hunger for answering these questions.
I want to thank Nacho and Italo for joining us today and sharing their expertise and experience with profiling and performance tuning with Meteor, especially at the core level, and the suggestions they've given on how you can actually implement some of these things in your application. So thank you so much for joining us. We hope to have you guys back again sometime soon. Maybe we can invite one of our viewers to submit an application and we can run a clinic, do a sort of a real time, help them understand how they can take care of this themselves if they have any problems. So if we have any volunteers that has a small project that you'd like to see how to apply these techniques, and you'd like to do this with us, put a note in the comments and we'll reach out to you and we'll do an episode based on that. I think that'll be really cool. If everybody else thinks it's cool, I think it's cool, but all right. And with that, I think we're wrapping up. But there's one last thing I think you want to talk about, Storyteller.
Mm-hmm. If you can put it on screen.
Yeah, I'm just right back up here.
Yeah, just a quick reminder, everybody. Meteor Impact is coming in September. You can go to impact.meteorjs.community. You can sign up for it. There's also a call for papers. So if you want to give a workshop, talk about some specific topic or anything like that, I'll be happy to consider you for our schedule. We'll have some schedule reveals coming up in the next few weeks. We'll have some panels and few other exciting talks that are starting to line up. So stay tuned, sign up. Let us know if you want to do any panel talk or workshop.
Excellent. And let me just switch back here again. So that is what we've got. And I think what we're saying is that we have come to the end of our episode. Normally, we've gone on for quite a bit, but this time we're holding it to about an hour. And thank you for spending time with us this week. And we hope to see you again next week. Take care. Have a great weekend. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.